Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. All in crypto here, and today we are going to be looking at the spectacular price movements from Cardano over the past 24 hours. Now, those of you that watch me regularly will recall a video where we were essentially looking at Cardano technically and telling you guys why we believe Cardano was about to break out from the sort of 45 cents range where we saw some significant resistance. This was the video. Cardano was consolidating at a key level of significance, and we expected it to follow suit with the rest of the markets and actually take this level with momentum, which has happened. Now, what does this mean for the likes of Cardano? We are going to be explaining that in this video. We're going to be looking at what's to come. And to reveal that early on and not keep you guys in suspense, we do think that there is going to be a broader uptrend. There may be a retest of the level that we have just broken, like we saw for Bitcoin, which we very early identified. However, we do now think a broader uptrend is about to take place. So I hope you guys are along for the journey. Without further ado, guys, let's dive into this video. We're also going to be looking at things like the total market cap. We're going to be showing you other examples of ranges. When we were talking about a breakout, we were talking about a breakout of a bottoming range that would be signified with resistance falling with momentum, which we've seen. We're going to be showing you a few examples, looking at the total market cap, total 3, total 2. We're also going to be looking at the fact that Cardano has actually now broken out into new all-time highs in terms of its DeFi TVL, and has also moved up to number 10 in positioning in regards to TVL in the DeFi sector. And I think this has a lot to do with Argon and a number of other things. And then I want to move on and actually tell you what I think a main driver of this new bull market is going to be. Bull markets always have multiple factors into why a bull market is taking place. You know, a lot of the time it's not just one, it's many. And we think we've got the macroeconomic environment very right that allowed us to make a call to start getting back into the market after being out of them in 2022. Around about January, the start of January. And ultimately, there's a number of other factors coming into play. You know, the broader market, crypto has broken out. And also, you have what I believe is going to be a major driver of this bull market, which is institutional involvement. We see a Bitcoin spot ETF application really on the verge of being approved. We've also seen BlackRock file for an Ethereum ETF. It's not long, just like with Grayscale's products, before you start to see, I think Solana, I know Solana's a bit of a taboo subject in the Cardano community, is going to have the first ETF. I think it's a status coin that the institutions like, but the likes of Cardano will have ETFs and many altcoins out there, and we'll see baskets of ETFs and other things, just like how Grayscale developed their products. So what I want to do, guys, is actually start off with the charts, look at the breakout for Cardano, and then we're going to break everything down. So this, of course, is the Cardano chart. Again, in our video the other day, we were looking at these ranges because breakouts can mean many different things. You know, when people say something is breaking out, you've always got to ask the question of what. And we are essentially looking at a range that Cardano has broken out of that ultimately is going to lead to further continuation. We had assessed this as a bottoming range in the same way that we were assessing this as a topping range. And it's very important to note that with range breakouts, you often do get a retest. There's other confluence with sort of range analysis, support and resistance analysis, like a double bottom that we were identifying in the video the other day. But ultimately, we think Cardano is now on a breakout. There's been many markets this year that we've been absolutely spot on in regards to calling. We'll start with the most obvious, which of course is Bitcoin. You know, we had from the start of the year an early price prediction to around about $42. It's made that target on time. And ultimately, you know, we could be looking at a $47,000 move before having a bit of a retest. But this was textbook stage analysis. You have your resistance here, you break out of it, you retest it twice, and then you're off. There were many other markets that we called this for. Chainlink was one of the broad markets that we called a breakout for. If you look here, you have a bottoming range. Just drawing this very roughly, guys, so please don't slate me for the drawings and the accuracy of the range, but it's a similar concept. You break the range with momentum, inflated volume, and then you start a broader uptrend. Bitcoin did the same thing. We also had many stocks. This technical analysis is universal. The likes of our golden child, which was Microsoft, bottoming range, resistance, breakout, retest, and then you're off. We're going to look at Cardano, and you're going to start to see this in just a second. S&P, remember, we have broader targets for. This is what's allowed us to be long on the markets, was many have been fearful, is a good, solid technical background. But just to give you some examples of ranges, and Cardano has now broken out of a range and is likely going to go on an uptrend, even if there is a retest. The only thing that I will note is your volume, albeit inflated, isn't dramatic. And remember, volume differs from exchange to exchange. So Coinbase has a little bit more volume. Again, if you look at the range that we've been in, and we are going to give a number of altcoins because lots of altcoins are doing a similar thing. You know, this is what I would define the range as. You've got clear support here that then flips into very clear resistance, a deviation that you've now ran to the top end of. So a little bit more volume here, more volume than typically you've seen throughout this entire range. Again, it differs from exchange to exchange. You can see on Kraken, lots of volume here. You know, you could look at a number of different levels that you've broken out of. So, for example, in the short term, we could look at something here, smaller sort of resistance that you broke out of on volume, seeing that volume come in. You know, all systems are go for Cardano, in our opinion, ladies and gentlemen, and we think it's going to do the same thing that many others have done and now start a broader uptrend. Remember, we have been one of the few people that have been very spot on in regards to the direction of the cryptocurrency market this year. If you look at the total market cap for the cryptocurrency space, we had assessed that it had broken out broadly. You can see, again, support flipping into resistance, and then you can see a breakout on volume, increasing volume into an uptrend, which this is now going to be. There are going to be pullbacks along the way. This is the total market cap. This is the total 2, excluding Bitcoin, that's now broken out. And of course, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum is also broken out. So Cardano, in our assessment, is well and truly on an uptrend now, guys. And I hope you're all along for the ride. And I think before we dive into a number of things like total value in the Cardano DeFi sector, which is now at new all-time highs, and just how well Cardano is doing, I want to sort of talk about what I think a real driver of the new market is going to be. And I do think it's going to have a real institutional twang to it. We see this with Bitcoin in the narrative at the moment with the spot ETF. You're likely going to get that with the, it's not just going to be Bitcoin, there's going to be an Ethereum ETF. And then just like Grayscale, which we'll take a look at just now, you know, this is Grayscale's digital large cap fund. The order that Grayscale went was Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and then Cardano. So they offered exchange traded products that weren't attached to the price, but represented it because the shares were there of the underlying cryptos. But you're likely going to see this from an institutional point of view. We've had the Ethereum ETF. I believe actually Solana, just to show you actually some more ranges relating to the crypto space, Solana was one of the calls that we made. We identified a falling wedge that really broke to the upside, and Solana's gone on and absolutely rocked and rolled. But, you know, Solana, again, textbook example of a range. You know, you've got an ascending structure here. You've got a falling wedge. Let's pull up another Solana chart because I don't want to get rid of these draws. Let's remove this. All kinds of draws here, guys. But you can see support, resistance into a break on volume. Compare that with what Cardano is doing. You've got the same thing arising. Again, support, into resistance, and now you're off. So I think Solana's gaining, Cardano's gaining. I think it's largely this bull market going to have a lot to do with institutional involvement and monetizing of the crypto space. You know, I think crypto's on an inevitable journey, and part of it is going through kind of a bumpy time with regulations. But it's here, guys. The bull market has arrived, and we're looking at this across the board, across the macro markets, across all other markets, and we're correlating it to the crypto space. And if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, what I said in the last video, we're having duck. So let's talk about Cardano in terms of TVL, because it's doing exceptionally well. This is Cardano's TVL. TVL means total value locked in terms of DeFi. In a monetary term, we are at new all-time highs for Cardano. Also in a Cardano terms, you can see we are up, up, and away. If we look at total value locked in across all crypto chains, you can see Cardano is now in that 10th position, and I think it's actually going to climb up significantly. And the beautiful thing about Cardano's TVL is it's organic. It's not VC funded. There are VCs in the Cardano space, guys, that do fund various projects, but it's very organic. And this is one reason we really like Cardano, is because we think Cardano, as a broad statement, is the successor to Bitcoin. in regards to how it keeps Bitcoin's true values at heart. It really prioritizes decentralization and security. It even uses EUTXO, which is the extended UTXO model. You know, it is the succession. It's the next step for Bitcoin. And we think Bitcoin maxis are one of the most confused people in the room. To signify this, there's a quote from Hal Finney, who was one of the early people think he was Satoshi because, of course, he died. He got very sick, and that would explain why he hasn't moved his coins. But he said that Bitcoin is a global database system, and actually there's many applications for a global database system, and hence we have the altcoin market, which Bitcoin maxis have kind of failed to see the wood through the trees, and they've kind of failed to understand that the applications of distributed ledgers can be far outreaching other than a store of value. So that's really all we've got for you guys. You know, we expect an uptrend now to ensue for Cardano. Can we give any areas where Cardano may rest? Well, yes, we can, and we should probably do that right now. Where it's currently at doesn't look like a bad area to rest at all. Actually, this would be exceptionally positive because essentially this would set up a broader pattern, which we'd identify as a head and shoulders. It's an inverse head and shoulders. So we've got a double bottom. And essentially, we may be on the cusp of forming what is a broader pattern that will give you a projection to the upside, which will give you in just a momento. If we take the low here and we go to the high, we're on log scale because, of course, you know, once this breaks, I would still expect a right shoulder to form. So you may have some, don't FOMO, guys, never FOMO. You want to be positioned before these moves happen, like what we teach here at ALLINCrypto. You know, you may get something like this and then it rocks and rolls. But you could be on, and if we look, this will give confluence with previous price action, which you can see. You could be on if this pattern plays out, and watch this play out for a $1.50 Cardano. That's not a price prediction, just something to watch. It doesn't have to form a head and shoulders or anything of the sort, but we will see. We'll keep you up to date here at ALLINCrypto. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. If you've enjoyed this content, a like is always appreciated. So is a comment, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. See you in the next.